Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, Dealercast Nation? I am Jason.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Old Guys That Know Shit. I never get tired of saying that, by the way.
It is a good thing. It is good.
It's easy to say. It flows very nicely.
It comes out so elegantly.
Yes.
Where did we find that voiceover guy? That's a good voiceover.
Yeah, that is a good voiceover.
It's very epic.
Yeah, it'll do until we get Sam Elliott.
Well, or we get the approval to use the soundtrack from Blazing Saddles.
I'm in. Done. Hands down.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Okay.
Well, you had no idea what you guys were getting into today. All right. Hey, guys, we got some. It's great to see you all, by the way. Back in the studio.
It's good to be back in the studio.
It is good back. Even though it's cold out.
It is cold as hell outside. Isn't that what? Isn't that?
Well, I would use a different
the nickname
word,
of Iowa.
It was cold last time you were here. It's much colder now.
Yes, this is
The winter vortex has arrived.
Yeah. This is what I call fucking cold.
It is.
There's cold.
Well, you're
and
from
then there's
Houston, so that totally actually makes sense.
We've entered that level now.
And speaking of some cold stuff, we're gonna get into some stuff that might get heated up, but it is a cold topic. Is your car spying on you? A deep dive into vehicle data privacy. Guys, I was just telling you, right? Like, I just bought a new GM truck, right? And guys, the amount of privacy documents I had to read. I mean, think about this. I had one for my OnStar. Mm-hmm. I had one for the app for the truck.
Which you have to download.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I actually, when I got into the truck, on the screen of the truck, there was a whole nother set that I had to go through. Then I had a set for the financing company that I had to go through. Then I had a set from the dealership I had to go to. There was at least 5 to 7, 10 to 20 page long data privacy documents that I had to sign just to buy a new vehicle right now. And I'd love to tell you guys I read every single one of them.
But you did it.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How many of them did you read?
I didn't. I really didn't.
Yeah.
But does it surprise any of us? You know, back in 2014, I did a seminar at NADA and talking about data, big data, and what I was trying to say, I can't say it right now, was that the dealers, you're going to get out data by all these guys that are coming into our business, all the tech people.
Outdated.
Outdated.
Yeah.
You're going to get outdated. And so don't play the game, just know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And protect yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it is protection. You know what? Whenever I get into like data conversation, is it data or data?
Depends on who you're talking. Tomato, fine. I mean,
Is it?
whatever whoever you're talking to.
R2D2, I don't know.
Whenever we get into conversations like this, there's this scene from Spider-Man comes up in my head with great power comes great responsibilities. Why does that scene always pop in my head every single time we get into a data conversation?
because I think you just hit on it. I mean, because responsibility and data go hand in hand,
right?
Yep.
Right? And every time, none of us give a damn that you have our data. We've all. I mean, I know I've given up. The data's out there.
Yep.
You know, and so I don't worry about you having it. It's what you do with it, and it's the responsibility part. I mean, the fact of the matter is that all this paperwork came up because lawyers got in the way, and lawyers get in the way when you do stuff the wrong way.
Yes.
That's period. Yeah. I mean, and so you use the data in a way that was gray, and then you got sued. That ensued, got a lawyer involved. A precedent was set, and then with the precedent comes about 5 sheets of paperwork.
But
and every time you get one, so you're 20 or 30 sheets deep now.
Sure.
Right.
But I mean, I definitely see there's some advantage. I think it all comes on the responsibility side, right?
Yeah.
So for everybody out there watching and listening right now, if you don't know what kind of data we're talking about, but right now we're talking specifically just what the vehicle's recording. So you have things like location, driving habits,
speed,
biometrics,
what radio stations you listen to,
where your home is, where your office is, where your kids' schools are.
Right.
All these things are
dealership
programmed.
for service? Do you not go to the dealership for service? Where do you get your oil changes?
Everything. Where you go to shop for groceries? Where were you at 1:38 a.m. on a Tuesday night? They got everything. And
here's the thing: it's like video content, right? All of it's not useful. And it's not all being monitored real time by a person all the time.
That's a good point.
But it's being mined for certain things. And when somebody finds something, it's like we used to when call tracking first came out, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And I remember getting call tracking and putting it on a direct mail piece back then.
Was this the call command story?
No, it's not a call command story. This was actually web call info.
Okay.
Which is way back, man. Hey, shout out to Leon Clapper. Leon, you're the best, brother. The first thing we would tell the dealer or tell the salespeople, don't tell them that these things about them, because we're matching that back to demographic data. And what does a salesperson do? Well, I happen to notice here that you're good.
Right.
Dude,
but
come on.
The evolution of data collection at a dealership, they have been screwed not by the dealership, by the third-party guys that get in and extract the data.
Right.
Well, that's
and what they do with it.
That's because dealerships never took the time to understand. I mean, we've been telling them for decades that they're sitting on a gold mine of data. There's a gold mine.
Is it data or is it data?
But no one's actually educated the dealer to actually totally understand. I mean, I remember 15 years ago, I was consulting with this Highline dealership, right? And a guy shows up one day, and his business is leasing private jets, like partial ownership private jets, right?
Fraction.
Now I'm saying 15. It's probably close to maybe 20 years ago, between 15 and 20 years ago. And I was consulting with this dealership. The dealership comes to me and goes, Jason, can we do this? And I was like, I actually need to go find out first, right? So found out what was the logistics, what was the legal requirements, what we can and can't do, and we brokered a data purchase from this Highline store to this guy who was selling, shares for private jets. And I was like, man, and this was early. I mean, this was super early, right? I'm like, there really is something here. No one's educating the dealers on how to tap into.
Well, but what the guys on the outside know is that the second most expensive thing you're going to buy in your lifetime is a car.
Right.
And the only thing above it is a house. And everything below it is everything else.
Right? Everything else, right.
And so in theory.
But now the manufacturers own all that stuff.
Well, that's worthless in their hands.
Is it though? Because I mean
it kind of is.
Well, but that's just the whole thing. I mean,
I still get postcards from Mercedes-Benz, and I haven't owned that car for 10 years.
They don't know. That's just not knowing how to.
Everybody gets that shit.
Yeah, everybody, and they still don't.
So here's a question, and I think a lot of people out there are probably thinking the same thing. I buy the car. Mm-hmm. All right, what I do with that car, the data that's being collected off, what I do with it, if I'm towing with it or where I'm going or whatever, do I own that? I bought the car.
No, you don't. You signed away that.
Yeah, what you did with the car,
with
one of the 25 sheets that you signed that you didn't read, told you no, you don't have that. You don't have that. That's not your data. That's not your behavior. There is not. That's being collected, is not owned by you. Now it's your behavior is being collected by their app. And at the end of the day, that becomes the data that they can provide to someone else.
Now, look, I can see some positive things here, right? Like I can already see it, like from servicing this new vehicle, right? It's already telling me things are at this percentage and that percentage, and it's like, okay, like I'm not guessing, when I got to go in for a service, or it's not telling me that I'm, because I'm 6 months out, I got to go do this. It's based on my driving habits, how hard I'm driving it, how much I'm towing on it, and stuff like that. Yep. And I can see that. I'm like, okay, well, this is cool. Yeah. Right? It feels like I'm actually taking care of the car properly.
But it's who they sell the data to.
That's true.
That's where you get in trouble.
That's where you get in trouble.
I mean, when back in the day when I was involved in DMS data, it was never, the question of the dealer accessing his data through the third party they were using to get it, or giving access.
Giving it.
to that data through the third party they're trying to get it. It was always the concern when the third party got it. What
are they
did
gonna
they
do with
do? What were their security standards?
And there was no chain of command
right.
of data
And
at
at
all.
that time, these third party aggregators for data, they were smaller, right? So what's going to happen when the lawsuit comes? You think they're going to get sued? No, they're going to fold up like a cheap suit. And the next thing, and the DMS is the one on the hook. He's going to get enjoined. The dealer's going to get sued. The dealer's going to enjoin the third party. The third parties and the providers, they're going to enjoin the DMS. And at the end of the day, who's left holding the bag?
You think that's where we're going to go? So because
It's already happened, man. What do you mean
No,
it's gonna go?
Right now, all this data is siloed in different areas, right? Like between what my vehicle's collecting, between what my app is collecting, between what the dealership's collecting, between what the service department's collecting. I mean, everything right now is kind of in a silo space. I haven't seen anybody really kind of come out and say, hey, we're going to connect all these dots together and actually start formulating actionable plans after it.
Well, is that
but is that the
is?
future?
That's what a
But that's
CDP
what a
is.
CDP is supposed to do.
But when all these different, I mean, because like, come on, the manufacturer going to give that data up to the dealership?
Well, the manufacturer
Dealership?
gets it from the dealership.
Okay,
Right?
yes, going that way.
Well, but they're not giving back the dealer the stuff that they're collecting from the new
Not the
cars.
stuff that they're
Exactly.
collecting from the car. No, I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't want the stuff as a dealer. I don't want the stuff coming back. From
No,
the
but
car
what I'm saying is, like, I know we're getting a little off track, but going back to CDPs, can we really effectively ever get to a CDP when all these different companies own all this different data and no one's really going to collectively put it all
100%, you can. Not
At the
only that,
dealership
we're-
level, I think you can.
Yeah, we're doing that.
I guess if you're Tesla, you're doing it.
Well, if you're Tesla, you're doing it.
Because you're literally-
that's
but if
what all the
you're-
motor companies want to
But
do.
if you're a dealer and you're doing it, we're doing it now. I mean, you're collecting all of your DMS data as your core. You're layering in CRM data on top of that. That CRM data has certain.
But Larry, dealers aren't doing that.
No, we're
the
we're doing it.
third-party
Third party.
people, and that's where the problem lies.
Right,
is
but-
in the bad
right, so-
actors on the
Right.
side of data collection.
Right. I mean, but that's why. I mean, well, I don't know about other providers. I know that BDC Box, my company, we provide a document. We basically call it a data sharing agreement. I don't need the dealer to sign it. I signed it, and it states very clearly what we will and will not do with the data.
Sure.
And where it domiciles, if it's a shared agreement,
right.
you don't even have it. You don't even own
Right.
it.
If someone's tapping into your data, and you don't have a data sharing agreement with that guy,
they're going to steal it.
then they're 100% going to steal it. You know, you should get one with every provider that's going to access your data. Data sharing agreement is a standard thing, along with the NDA. Standard thing, a data sharing agreement, and you don't, as a dealer, you just need to get it. You don't need to sign it because the provider's the one. He's the one making the agreement with you. I'm using this data on your behalf and your behalf only, and that's the document you want back.
So do you see in the future a company out there that, and because we've seen this happen now multiple times, becomes a middleman between the manufacturer and the dealership, and say, all right, I'll put
Digital?
this data.
No.
we haven't seen that happen a few times, right? Where they're going to take this vehicle data and then resell it back to the dealership.
Yeah, that's called a direct mail list.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Right.
DMV does it. Hell, they're in the middle of it. I mean, but so as a dealer, you're collecting data, behavioral. This is where the CDP gets misguided in the car business today. The CDP is not just about the contact data that you get from the DMS and the CRM, and you get a little bit of behavioral data from the CRM because you'll get maybe a couple of emails that the salesperson did in there, and maybe a couple of texts that they did in there, and if you're lucky, you'll get one call that was where the salesperson went in and said, "Yes, I called them." That's the behavioral part. What you want is all that behavioral part. The contact information's not what's important. What happened is what's important. The data you're getting out of the car, where the car's been, what the car's,
that's
the
the information I want.
That's the behavior.
I want to know if they serviced at another service department already.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the behavioral data. That's what it's not your email address, your name, your mobile number. I can get that in 1,000 places. I don't need that.
Yeah.
What I need is what you did.
Yeah, you need the variable data.
Right. And if you're gonna make AI work in your store, you got to have it, because AI's got to know what the context is in which I'm contacting the customer.
Yep.
If I don't have the context, just like a person, if I hand you a piece of paper as a BDC person and I say, here, call this guy, the first thing you're going to ask me is, well, about what? Call this guy. I mean, but you hand over a contact. So these guys in AI today, and we're way off topic right now, but these guys in AI in the car business today, they'll hand over a lead to AI and say, contact this person. About what? It has no more context than that. And you expect it to work, and then you get all disappointed when it doesn't work. Well, you shouldn't be shocked. It's got to be able to look back at that CDP. What was the last few calls you had in the last 2 weeks? What was the last emails you had in the last 2 weeks? What are the last text messages you had in 2 days? When were you last in the store? What did you look at? That's all behavioral. That's got nothing to do with your name, your email address, or your mobile
it's all
number.
behavior data.
It's all behavioral data.
So I'm gonna I'll reel it back in. I'll bring it back in because now I mean our cars are walking iPads or driving iPads.
That's
now,
exactly. Everyone
right?
wants to be in the data collection business.
So now you have apps on there. My car comes standard with Alexa and Google Assistant and
Voice activation
and voice activation and Siri and stuff like that. And I think we were just talking about this earlier. You read an article just recently, where these guys have already gotten in trouble and said they weren't listening, but obviously they are. They are listening, or they are listening. It's just like like how far is too far? You know what I mean?
The optimal word is trust, right? Trust.
Yeah.
Do you have it or don't you? And if you have to think about it, you probably don't have it.
Well, I mean, it's like there's one of my favorite sayings comes out of a Visible Changes. The guy, and I can't remember the guy's name that started Visible Change, the haircut place, but he had this on every one of his little the shops where you went in. It had goodwill is like a war. It's won by many battles and lost by one. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And that's my favorite saying in the world, because here you have Amazon has won many, many, many battles to gain people's trust.
Yeah.
And they screwed it up one time, got sued, and now everybody's kind of going,
just give it a few more weeks. They'll forget.
Yeah, they might. I mean, because they'll give it up for the convenience.
Convenience.
Right. Just like you'll give up your freedoms for what you consider to be safety. It's the same thing. But at the end of the day, that's the problem. The problem isn't that you have the data. The problem is you misuse the data you have. And that's where dealers have to be. That's where consumers have to be.
Well, and I think you're right. And I mean, look, bad news is good news, or news that sells, right? I mean, I don't think we're not hearing a whole lot of like actual success stories and positive stories that are coming out with this data being collected. I mean, like I said, I'm already a fan of this data being collected, because I'm going to service my vehicle. It's going to last longer because it's using data to tell me how to service the vehicle, and not guessing some like day 180 go do this. It's like it's all based on my behavior, my driving actions, so on and so forth. So I'm going to have a longer lasting car because the data is collecting and that it's pumping back out to me. And other things too, like my daughter's getting very close to driving. For the love of God, guys, I don't even want to say that out loud. Like, she's already asking me, like, can we go out to the empty parking lot?
Yeah, can I
not that yet. But can we go out to the empty parking lot and do this stuff? And it's like, and I look at some of now with, again, highly connected vehicles, their entire parental settings. It's like I will get notified if they leave this blocked area. I get notified if they're speeding.
Right.
I did.
Yeah, exactly.
If I want to.
And they'll be able to put a control lever on it that can slow you down, right, automatically, right?
Sure.
We're just giving up all of our freedoms, all of it, to a computer, to someone that can do things quicker, faster than the humans can.
Well, is it better to be more connected? I guess that's what I'm saying.
It depends. I mean, as long as you can turn it off, yeah.
Like for example, Google Assistant in my car. All right, Google Assistant home. As I pull up to my house, Google Assistant knows I'm coming home and it turns on the lights outside.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, we're going back to convenience, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Like
right.
this whole connectivity of
Again,
everything.
But you're back.
you
But
know?
you're back to you're full circle back to it. It's not that you have it. It's not that you can do it. It's it's. Do I trust you to do the right thing with it, and not misuse it?
Well, the
And that's-
psychology of gathering data is a big deal too, right?
Yeah.
Because the more you make things easy, the more you dumbify people, right? Because they're not doing it.
Yeah, but the only reason you did it was because they weren't doing it in the first place.
Maybe,
to begin with.
or I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
I'm tired.
I mean,
of doing
turning on the lights in my house, that's cool. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Monitoring my daughter's car for speed.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
Believe me,
good things.
I wouldn't have this scar if my car did that. So at the end of the day, I mean, some of these things are are good.
Are good,
right?
absolutely.
But it just takes one idiot to do something stupid, and it to be big enough before everybody starts to look at it's either an all or nothing proposition now.
So, have you guys had any problems with your phones lately? Cell phone? You got Verizon or AT&T?
It seems like I'm
Not
always
really.
I've
having
got
problems.
Verizon, and I was in D.C. about 5 weeks ago, right when the Verizon or the Chinese were hacking Verizon. Right, the Chinese are hacking everything.
Yeah.
everything. So, do you believe that the data that they get from us, they're going to do good things, nefarious things? Exactly.
They have no intention of doing anything good
whatsoever.
with it.
Absolutely. So the fear or the threat is what these bad actors are going to do with our data.
Right.
And you may be 4, 5, 6 degrees of separation from these guys, but it's all going to roll back. And I mean, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but you've seen it, and it's nefarious people doing bad things with data,
Right.
and it's not going to stop. It's just going to
No,
get worse.
it's never. But this is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on.
It's nothing new, but the frequency is much greater.
because the data is much more pervasive.
Well, there are more people doing it.
Right.
That many more products that are connected to each other.
Right.
Yeah. The Internet of Things. Remember that?
The Internet
Everything.
of Things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's still going to get there. I mean,
Oh yeah, we're kind of really already there. I mean, when you go to, you don't go grab the Encyclopedia Britannica anymore when you want to know something. You pull up your freaking phone.
Right. Yeah.
How many times did we do that this morning before we even got on this show? Right? Probably 20.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
At least.
So I mean, I asked a guy the other day, go dial 411, see what happens now.
Oh, I don't think. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the advantages of technology are mind-boggling.
Wasn't it
Good things.
amazing? Wasn't it amazing when I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I thought it was amazing when I could call 411 and then get the information, and then it would connect me.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Well, I remember
That's great.
I remember when OnStar came out for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And was that 25, almost 30 years ago or something like that? It's like you hit a button and someone said, "Hello, how can I help you?"
Wait, what?
What? I need
I hit the
directions
button
to this and this.
accidentally.
Yes, that's what 90% of them are, right?
I mean, I've made plenty of reservations with OnStar,
Right.
Yeah, but restaurant reservations, hotel reservations. I mean, when you're making my convenient, all of that's great.
Yeah.
But when you misuse it, and that's there, and that's all people.
Yep.
It's not a computer. That's people. Now, whether or not, and then I've had this discussion about AI. I mean, more times than I can count. Right?
Mm-hmm.
AI is not the problem. It's just like your child is not the problem. It's the person who's
Who
teaching
programs.
the
Well,
child.
and that's-
Who's training the child?
Well, but the fear
That's
is
the
that
problem.
that the AI can advance beyond us and start being the programmer themselves.
Yeah, well, then there's AI that programs now, and this is happening right now. Will it, if it goes and builds a program to get outside of its program or to go outside of what you've trained it to be moral right, it's because you did that.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
You trained
100%.
it that way,
Absolutely. Yep.
right? Otherwise, it doesn't do that.
No, it does not. It has to be trained.
It has to be trained to go do something bad.
Correct.
Well, and just like the fear of with that example of AI, it's the same fear here with data collection. It's not the fact that you're collecting the data. We've kind of covered that, right? Yep. It's what you could potentially do with it that's fearful, But I also think just there is a level of education that has to go to it, right? There was an article I was reading recently where a pre-owned vehicle was sold. None of the data was cleared out of it. And the person who particularly bought it, which was a Highline vehicle, now had their home address, and the house got someone broke into the house. Hey, if these guys have this fancy or own this fancy a car, they probably got some cool stuff there. I can go and I go get that. So there are educational things that we have to know. Either we need to be turning these things off and we don't want the data collected, or for sure anybody out there watching, listening, that is something you have to think about. I mean, also it's funny, like even with like hotels, you go in there and you Netflix, but they got smart. They auto subscribe you out within 72 hours if it goes through stuff like that, right? It's like now your car is the same way. You need to clear your entire vehicle before you sell.
But if I'm a dealer, if I'm a used car dealer, if I'm a car dealer, period, whether I'm a used car or not.
So I'm going to ask you this because I want. Who was responsible there? The dealership not clearing the data, or the customer?
Well, that's the customer. So the customer, but I'm going to make it a part of my recon, and I'm going to promote that.
So now that's a new process.
A part of our recon process here, when I take your trade, is we wipe out all of your data out of the car.
Sure.
We'll do that. If you don't think that's going to become a service, there's already a guy 100%, trying to. I can't remember the guy's name. I've seen him in a couple.
Already a company out there trying.
There's already a company out there. He's trying to raise money right now to clear data
it's not
out
necessarily
of the car.
Bad thing. Yeah, I mean, guys,
it's not a bad thing.
No. How many times have you rented a car in the last 15 years to jump in there and here's Joey's entire contact list and playlist? And I'm like, so I know what kind of music he likes, and his girlfriend and his mistress.
What it told me is I do not want to hook up my phone to this car.
Yes, right? Exactly, 100%.
First thing, I do not want to do what this guy just did.
When I plug my phone into a rental car and it says you want to hook it up to Apple Play. Oh
yeah, no.
If do you have one button that says fuck no? Because I'd like to have that one. I need a third option.
From the easy button to the fuck no button.
Yes, exactly. I need a third option on that one. So, but that's the funny part about it, right? No, I don't think anybody anywhere, except for maybe these knuckleheads that are living out in the hippies that are living out in the jungle or in the woods. We don't care if you have our data. Just don't do anything nefarious with the data. That's the problem. And people, but you also need to realize they're people, and as people are, who they are going to do something nefarious with the data when they have it. And
well, then you have to know how the data gets transferred. We're talking about Excel spreadsheets here, right? So I can send it to someone, they can send it to someone else. God only knows who has all of our data, right? That's the problem.
Google.
Well, Google has it, and then anybody else that wants it too, because they can get it from everyone.
They'll sell it to anybody. Anyone. Google cares zero about anything other than that stock price.
That's right. But Do No Evil was one of their
please. That went away 25 years ago.
For everybody who doesn't know who you're talking about, can you explain that story? Because it is a good one.
Well, Google has their 10 commandments, and you go through them and they say...
It's not on their website anymore.
No, I just Googled it, and
you can find it on somebody else's website.
I found it on somebody else's website.
Exactly. It's not on Google's website anymore. These are no longer our commandments. Yeah, our commandments are money now.
Yes. Do no evil.
Well, guys, look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of this conversation, but from both of you, I'm kind of curious. Any predictions for the future of how automotive data will be collected and used?
So they're going to collect it. We're going to continue to collect it. And the people that are going to win with the data are the ones that are consistent in a process of using the data. Mm-hmm. And if they got a process to use the data, they collect the data, and they're diligent in running their system, they'll win with data.
I don't disagree with that. I'd add to that use the data to help the consumer.
Yes.
Yeah. The ones that will lose will be the ones who sell the data and just become the third party that collects it and sells it. If you're getting it and you're using it to help the end user or the consumer, you're fine. I mean, at the end of the day, that's Tesla. I haven't seen Tesla sell data yet, and I doubt very seriously you'd find anybody at Tesla who is selling the data. They are using it to further their product. If you're using it to further your product and make it better for me, God love you. If you are selling it just to be a data collector to sell it, if you're as many of the OEMs, I'm not going to call anybody out like I did last time. But if you're one of these OEMs that are saying we're a data company, okay, that means you're just collecting it to sell it.
Yep.
And I'm out.
Well, Tesla, the fourth quarter numbers are down.
Yeah.
So when their numbers continue to slide, guess what they're going to rely back on is the data.
Tesla's never been a car company.
No, it's always been a.
They're an energy. They're an energy.
They're an incubator.
Yeah. It's like I think we said this on the last program. The car deal was just there to fund the clean energy and the energy and sustainable energy, carbon credits. It was there to fund the rest of these other things.
Correct.
Particularly the SpaceX and other. Yeah, it's there to fund that.
Yep.
It's not there because it wants to be a car company. It wants to be a sustainable energy company.
100%.
And the guy who finds sustainable energy, that's the real winner.
And that guy's name was Tesla, wasn't it?
Well, no, Tesla was the earlier electric guy, but he built the first electric car.
It's true. Well, guys, hey, this has been a real fun conversation. I think we did a great job of it. Is your car spying on you?
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Yes, your car is spying.
But are you spying on your car? That's the question.
But look, I mean, it goes back to, the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibilities.
Right.
And I'm with you guys. I like the fact that this data is being collected, and when it's being used to further the experience of owning that particular product, then I'm all in. Like I said, I'm feeling more and more confident as my kids are getting to that driving age, where I'm going to have a level of connectivity and transparency as far as what they're doing and how they're driving.
Can you imagine if your parents had that when you started driving?
I would be in so much trouble.
Well, you mean
there's not a chance in hell I would have had that car.
Your kids, your kids as parents. And I heard about this I can't even remember where I heard it, but it's going to be the greatest thing ever, because once the autonomous self-driving car, and I can dial that thing up to go pick my kid up at school and bring him home because I can't get out, and it costs me $25 to do it, game over.
Well, it's called Uber now, but yes.
Well, no, Uber doesn't do it autonomously yet. They do some of it. Waymo's doing some things, but if I send an Uber to pick up my kid, there's still a person in that car, and I don't know what that thing's.
No.
I don't know what that guy's going to do or gal's going to do.
I was in Phoenix recently, and I took a Waymo, and that was quite a fun experience.
Yeah,
What was it?
There's nobody in the car. In the car.
How did it work for you?
It was. What I found interesting is just how fast the vehicle was driving. I would have just kind of assumed that things would have kind of been dialed down, where it was like just kind of, taking its time. Yeah. No, man, like it's coming out of a parking lot. It's doing what I would have done. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Did it
Let's
ever
go.
speed?
Huh?
Did it speed?
It never went over the speed limit, but I mean, it didn't drive like, it didn't drive.
It didn't drive daintily.
Exactly. It drove like I probably would have drove the car.
When you reached your destination, did it talk to you and say you have arrived?
Oh yeah. The car
100%.
does, and like there's a button you can push, and somebody will come on, and they're like, "Calm down, it's okay, everything's great."
You're not going to die even though nobody's driving the car.
Right. So they could lock the doors on you too, right?
Oh yeah.
Technically, yeah.
I I don't know if you guys saw this. I posted on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys know Coop, but Alan Cooper. Yeah. Alan Cooper sent me a video because I had post something. He sent me a video. He actually took his Tesla from LA to Scottsdale. He rode in the back seat the whole way.
Oh, so he subscribed.
Really?
He was one of the beta tests for it.
Well, no, this was back at Autovate 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah. They're opening it up.
But he sent me he's out. He went to go out Christmas shopping. He's in the back.
That's awesome.
Of his car doing work and stuff. Sends me this video.
It all goes back to what we were talking about. The point of being connected is to create levels of convenience. No, just this a whole nother. Anyways, that's a topic in itself, and I think we should save that for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But for everybody out there watching and listening, thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
It's always a good.
It's always fun with you two guys.
It is. It is always fun. And hey, you know, if you like this content, one of the biggest compliment you can give myself or Rob or Larry is to share the show. All right. If you got a friend, a colleague, or a manager that needs to hear some portion of today's conversation, share the show. It means so much to us. Hey guys, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much, and
hopefully it
thank
helps
you
you.
for watching or listening.
See ya. We're out.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.